In the ever-shifting landscape of global politics, staying updated on current affairs isn't just important, it's essential. From diplomatic visits and international alliances to regional conflicts that could reshape the world, the geopolitical map is constantly evolving. I'm excited to announce that in the second week of September, we will be releasing a full-length podcast episode featuring none other than Lieutenant General Raj Shukla. Known for his deep insights and strategic acumen, General Shukla has already captivated us with his discussion on the emerging BRIC axis: China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea, and how this alliance is challenging the existing world order. But before we get there, today we have a special treat. I had the opportunity to ask General Shukla some pressing questions about current global affairs. We touched upon critical issues such as Prime Minister Modi's recent visit to Poland and Ukraine, the growing tensions in Bangladesh, the simmering conflict between Israel and Iran, and the ongoing war in Ukraine. These brief insights will set the stage for our in-depth discussions in September. So stay tuned as we dive into the key geopolitical developments shaping our world today. Make sure to subscribe to our channel, hit the bell icon to get notified, and join us in exploring how these global dynamics impact us all. There are few current things that are happening in perspective of India at the moment. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is visiting Ukraine as we speak. He went to Poland first, did some meetings there, and now he'll be going towards Ukraine. What are your thoughts on that? He earlier went to Russia as well. So, what do you think, he's going as a peacemaker, or what's the agenda of the meeting, according to you?
So I think Poland, I think firstly, no prime minister since Mr. Desai has gone, Morarji Desai. That itself, I think, is a good thing. Why shouldn't prime ministers not travel more frequently to Poland? We have a stake everywhere, including Europe. Poland is a key factor. Poland is a key factor in stability in Europe. Even in this conflict, it has stepped up its defense expenditure to 5%. So Indian presence there will do a world of good. The Prime Minister will get some inputs about what's happening there, how things are. And I think it's a part of balancing. He went to Russia, now he's going to Ukraine and Poland. So reassuring both sides. This is, I think, India's true Vishwabandhu, friend. And he's been constantly saying it's not an era of war. War in Europe is a reflection of geopolitical incompetence of the Europeans. If you go to war, it is basically geopolitical incompetence. The Prime Minister is perhaps going to both sides. And there is also some talk of India playing a role in the larger peace deal. That happens, will be true Vishwabandhu. But we know these things are not easy. So I think in that sense, the visits are very welcome.
Is it fair to look outside when a neighborhood isn't in the best condition at the moment? We see Bangladesh in a turmoil. Your thoughts on that, sir?
India is a rising power now. You have to take care of everything. You have to take care of your neighborhood, the immediate periphery, distant periphery. Also, we are in a globalized world. So I don't see why this should come in the way of that. You have to handle everything concurrently. Having said that, we need to pay greater attention to our immediate neighborhood. Not only Bangladesh, but Bhutan, Nepal. It is extremely important that the immediate periphery is stable. Now, there is one argument in foreign policy circles that without stabilizing your periphery, you should not engage with the rest of the world. I see the merit in that, but I'm saying, see, the assumption that our rise will be absolutely peaceful without trouble is an utopian concept. We have to develop the statecraft to be able to rise amidst crisis. So there will be crises, there will be setbacks like Bangladesh. But I'm sure we have the diplomatic and strategic acumen to take care of it. So take care of it, pay attention to your neighborhood. I think that's why Mr. Jaishankar traveled to Maldives. To take care of your neighborhood, but also take care of Poland and Ukraine.
Can I have your thoughts on the Bangladesh issue, sir?
So Bangladesh, I think there are two elements to it. One is that obviously the political management was not the best. So the way fire was opened up on those 200 students, those were bad decisions. There would be other, say, internal causes. But we must also acknowledge that Sheikh Hasina was a good friend of India. She did many things that were in India's interest. And so the real point from the Indian point of view is that we have no option but to deal with the government in power, irrespective of color. And so we will have to deal with the next administration, and both sides need to deal with it in a mature manner. We also have our concerns, for example, the security of Hindus and so on and so forth. There is also the Chinese footprint in Bangladesh. It would be absolutely foolish to say that other powers are not in. This is geopolitics. It shouldn't unnerve us. I'm sure it will not. But yes, you have to recognize that there are. Yes, it is a momentary setback.
Like you said, unemployment is also one issue that we need to learn
Obviously,
from Bangladesh.
employment is everybody's concern. And not only unemployment, skilling them for the big game. It's not only just jobs, it is the right jobs. Upskilling. Do you have the skills for AI, for quantum, and for all these big technologies? These are not easy. That is the monumentality of the challenge.
Sir, I would also like to bring your attention to the fact there was a 2+2 meeting with Japan and Malaysia with the Indian MEA and the defense minister. Is that to prepare us to counter China?
Not exactly. So, see, the concept of 2+2 is what? 2+2 basically is that, to coordinate between defense and the MEA across the board. Instead of defense dealing with their defense, and since defense and diplomacy, or force and diplomacy, are two sides of the foreign policy or strategic policy coin, aim is to engage between nations on a 2+2 basis. This is what it means. So, in that sense, it's a very welcome issue.
Has Japan been investing in defense?
Japan has been, from their point of view, there have been phenomenal changes. Japan didn't acknowledge the need for a defense force. They would call it self-defense force or something. Now they are doubling their defense budget, 1,000 missile program. It all started with Mr. Abe, and it's been continued by Shida. So Japan, from the past, has really stepped up its game. Is it good enough for the Chinese challenge is a different matter. It needs to step up further.
Does this itch the Chinese?
When the Chinese spend on their defense, does it itch the others? When they have transformed so massively, does it itch the others? So everybody has a right to defend their defense framework in accordance with their view of the threats. Sagacity will lie if both sides can come to the conclusion that one is not a threat to the other. That is the whole challenge of diplomacy. People spend lifetimes in addressing these concerns.
Last thought of yours I would need is in the Israel-Palestine issue. The Hamas leader was assassinated in Iran. What are your thoughts on that? The US also tried to have the peace talks between Israel and Hamas, which was in Qatar, where Qatar, US, and Egypt was a part of the talks. But it didn't come out successful. What are your thoughts on that?
You see, this is what is happening. That there was hope some time back that these talks would lead to a hostage deal. That's the first thing Israel would want, release of the hostages. And when it was very close to it, the Hamas stepped up its demands. And it so happened that Israel got information that Hani was here. Now it had to take a call. It was a difficult call because you are assassinating the chief negotiator. मैं आपसे बात कर रहा था और मैं आप ही को मार दूं. So it would obviously have an effect on negotiations. But then they had also said, see what happened in October. Netanyahu had said that the Hamas leadership is dead men walking. And you must give credit, he has proved it. Hani is gone. Mohammed Daif is gone. I think the only guy alive is Yahya Sanawar. The leadership has been taken care of. But the fact that it was done in the guest house of the IRGC, it is going to have military repercussions. I'm a little surprised why the attack has not come so far from Iran. I am wondering why. Perhaps the US diplomacy is working well. Hope it doesn't happen, because if it does, there is this danger of the Americans getting sucked into this. So I do hope better sense prevails. But this is how things are at the moment. And the other bit that should worry us is I'm told of the 24 battalions of Hamas in Gaza, 21 have been reconstituted. So जिनको आपने खत्म किया, you see this, it is not, these hit and run operations don't work. It has to be, capture, hold, and build. If you have to get serious peace to Hamas, the IDF has to stay there. Like we have stayed in Kashmir. It takes long. And not only will they have to stay, they have the option of getting Arab allies and stabilizing that area. This bit of shooting missiles and all, the kinetics works for a while, but it doesn't bring permanent peace. And peace will only come to Gaza when Hamas loses the ability to reconstitute itself. That should worry the idea. That's not happening. So these successes are of another kind. I mean, they're also from a purely Israeli military perspective, it's a grand success. But that should worry you of what's not happening there. How are those battalions reconstituting? And the hostage deal not happening. So, I would say it's pretty open-ended now, the conflict. And there is every worry of it spreading. That should worry a lot of people.
So to end this, last question I'm going to ask you again. The implications on Ukraine attack being offensive in Russia. And they recently did a drone attack in Moscow as well. Your thoughts on that?
So see, for a long time, there were these embargoes on use of European or the West supplied weapons to Ukraine to use them in the depths of Russia. And I don't think largely that has been violated, except I've seen some storm shadow attacks in Crimea. And now these drone strikes in depth areas. So this is to send a message. I mean, look at the Russians. 80% of Ukrainian energy grid has been destroyed by drones. 80%. So look at the power cuts, the impact on industrial production, military production. It's huge. So, and this offensive is also linked to that, relieve pressure on the Russians and signal to them by if you can do it, so can we. And also to gain leverage in these negotiations which happen. Perhaps those are the drivers.
If you enjoyed the episode or got some value out of it, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Until then, keep reimagining yourself and know that the power of change lies within you.